Howdy folks, welcome to another episode of the DevOps Diaries podcast with me, your host Jack McCurdy, and today it is a great honor and pleasure to be joined by Kurt Kemple. Kurt, hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You are very welcome. Thank you for agreeing to be on this podcast. This is the first time that I've had somebody from Slack be on the podcast, so thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm both excited and anxious to represent Slack for the first time.
Well, I'm sure you'll do a sterling job. If our previous conversations are anything to go by, then I have no doubt. Kurt, for the listeners, give us a little bit of background to yourself. What do you do at Slack and how did you get there?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, folks, I am Kurt Kemple. I'm currently Senior Director of Developer Relations for Slack at Salesforce. So my main focus is honestly educating and enabling developers at scale. Everything works backwards from there, right? And that manifests through a lot of different ways. But at the end of the day, I try to leverage that the most through driving product change because product change leads to benefits for everyone. I don't leave out anyone, but at the end of the day, I try to distill that down to what will fundamentally make things better for everyone, right? And so that's really the goal for me. And then we'll do that through a bunch of ways, whether that's enablement, like I said, and material and stuff like that, if we're not making product change. But at the end of the day, my goal is to make sure that the product aligns so perfectly with what they're trying to do that honestly, we might even be in the way.
Yeah, well, there you go. And a great ethos because Slack is for everybody as well. Like I'm a big advocate for Slack. I cannot speak highly enough of Slack and how it enables our team at Gearset to work together in a fruitful and productive manner. So getting out there and enabling a platform to deliver for everybody it must be a great honor, but somewhat challenging, I imagine, at times too.
Oh, it is absolutely a challenge. I mean, you're trying to balance the needs of over 1 million people on any given day use apps,
Just a
right? And
couple.
that's just a couple, just a few, right? And that's users, right? And then, I mean, you've got developers, but still we're talking thousands, hundreds of thousands of developers, with all different needs and reasons for showing up there. And then you've got where the industry is going and where the business is going. Yeah, it's a lot. It's definitely the concentration point of a lot of different people's kind of visions or frustrations, which, to your point, though, is a benefit. It is rewarding because generally, when I solve a problem, I try to solve it for everyone. I mean, can you have like a better job where you're making things better for users, making things better for your teammates and your partners and the business at large? Like, that's the goal, right?
That's pretty rewarding. Pretty rewarding. You come from a software development background, and what's the most interesting thing for you being in the space that you're in now, pairing that with a developer background, thinking about building a tool that is conducive for developers, but also hundreds of thousands of people that have no idea what software engineering actually entails?
You just like touched on something real good. So I'm going to try to keep this as aligned as I can and as concise as I can, but really hit on two major points. So the first one I want to touch on, which is my background, my journey into tech enablement, and why this literally drives me at like my core, like engraved into my being, cannot turn it off if I wanted to. So I have a very different entry into tech than a lot of people. I grew up very difficult life, led me to make not great decisions, and I ended up finding myself incarcerated from the years of like 2014 to, 2004 to 2010. And terrible time. Also, a catalyst. I had my basic needs met, access to rough information, a tiny bit of education. Still not a good environment. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to
Right.
sugarcoat it.
You're not advocating for that path, no.
Absolutely not. It's definitely not the environment where you want to be trying to turn your life around. That is for sure. But I did have access to things that I really didn't previously. And so I invested deeply in just like trying to soak up anything that was available to me. I knew I'd lost roughly at least half a decade of my life. And I'd now be at a huge disadvantage coming out with a record, especially in the United States. And a lot of other places too in the world. I do recognize that as well. But I knew that it would be extremely difficult. And so if I didn't spend literally every waking moment of my time in there trying to improve myself and set myself up to be like close the gap essentially of how far behind I actually was from where I knew I would need to be at that stage in my life, according to, the, nuclear family, nuclear career plan, right? But it's very
Right.
real. It's very realistic, right? So that's what I did. I just took everything that was available to me, for everything like plumbing, HVAC, like carpentry. Then moving in, I discovered some like computer classes, learned how to like actually type on a keyboard, went from like pecking to like actual, home row. I learned what a home row was. That was fun. And then, like I just continued to, man, I learned like Word, like Docs, right? Like, and stuff like that. And then even at the time, it was like Microsoft, I forget their little database thing. It's their like lightweight UI based database they have. I can't remember the name of it, but it's basically like Excel meets a database. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. No one uses it. Who cares? But what it did was then become a catalyst. Then I was able to take some classes. I learned about like operating systems, how computers really work. It started really just like demystifying something that I had kind of put like up at a pedestal, especially with like where I'd been in my life. I never graduated high school, right? And so it was really revealing and eye-opening, and I loved it. And then, out of nowhere, there was a course called, I swear, I'll wrap this up, I swear. We're at the
You're good.
pinnacle right now.
No, everybody's interested in this. Come on.
So right there, I have about 2 years left on my sentence, and I'm at this, this one like correctional facility or camp, whatever. It's where I'd just taken a bunch of these computer classes. And then one opened up in the next semester called like intermediate web page. And that was it, just intermediate web page in all caps. I'm like, what the hell is this? Anyway, I'm going to learn about it. It's got to be some internet stuff, right? So I was like, why not? And I'd seen my brother make MySpace pages before, and I was like, maybe this is related. So I take the course, and it turns out it's really just an intro to HTML, CSS, and then if you make it to the end, you do like a sprinkle of JavaScript. Like I learned a mouse over event. I changed a square from one color to another when my mouse went over it. But that was one mind-blowing event, but there was one prior to that. When I wrote my first H1 tag and I saved my file and I opened up that file from my computer into the browser, and it said hello like as like a Word doc, my mind immediately connected that pattern. I was like, oh my God, I just wrote like essentially what's behind a Word document, and all that the internet is one computer sending files to another computer, and then that computer displays them to you. Like there's like a fundamental shift for me. Yeah, exactly. Literally paramount, like paradigm shift in thinking about complexity and just like technology. It just immediately became so much more accessible to me. I'm a builder by nature. I love like kinetic, right? Like I learn well that way. And so it was amazing because the feedback loop is instant. I also have ADHD and I'm prone to hyper focusing. And so at that moment, those 3 months, there was this perfect storm of my interest, my hyper focus, my needs being met, the access to that technology, and just the drive, the fast feedback loop, instantaneously know if I did something correct or wrong, just accelerated. I spent 3 months, I was building, I had, my teacher brought me in a thumb drive of data about a zoo and zoo animals. I just built a zoo website, spun it up, looked like garbage, but it was a literal website. My teacher was like, what the fudge is happening? I loved it. I was addicted. And then the last thing I left off with was my mouse over. I learned about JavaScript. I did a mouse over event, but that was it. I hit the end of the book. I hit the end of the course, and that was it. And oh my gosh, like I actually dealt with, no, I'm not actually not even going to make that like correlation. It's not nearly the same, but I had such like a yearning to continue my learning for that. So I was like, I need to do this. So I was doing anything I could, like doing art on notebooks. I'm also like pretty creative. I love doing art and stuff like that. I was doing tattoos actually in prison to make money, and I would buy tech books So I had no
There you
idea
go.
if it was useful or not. Whatever I could get my hands on, like JavaScript, HTML, CSS, I knew that was useful. But I bought like whatever the tech books that were available and like these little like magazine things that they had that you could order from. I would just buy them all. And so that was my catalyst. So 2 years of that, never got to touch it again. As soon as I got out, now I'll fast forward a lot. I like went to a community college for almost all the way through my associates, but I didn't have any more money, like loans and grants, whatever. I just couldn't do it anymore. But I felt confident enough in my skills at that point to start applying for jobs. Worked my butt off trying to land jobs is extremely difficult. Again, I want to
Mm.
switch gears to the more important part. So we'll wrap up here.
It's all
But like
important.
asking, yeah, it is important. It is important.
It
But I
is
feel
important.
this
Context is
other
hugely
part
important.
it is. Next part's more important, I promise you. And so this is why. So I did. I just like climbed my way through tech, and not alone. I'm self-guided in my learning, right? I'm not self-taught. Like I learned from a bunch of people I both worked with. Read their books. I read their blog posts. I watched their videos. I bought their courses. Like I learned from people, just like in a school, you learn from people. So I've never really been a fan of self-taught because when I was incarcerated, I still had a book and I still had a teacher that was helping answer questions. Now there are people who have even less than that, and like yeah, some people do like self-teach themselves, like like some redundant stuff. Like there's actually people in history who like taught themselves calculus to solve some other problem before calculus was like invented, right? Like it's like historical fact now. It's really interesting. But yeah, humans are creative, right? And like we will solve the problem like with whatever we can come up with within the constraints of like that system that we're in. And for me, I got creative. I built a website and then I got out and I got creative and I landed my first job in tech and I went from IC up to leadership at Major League Soccer. I was tech lead of the UI team there, rebuilt their mobile app on React Native, moved them from a bunch of BFFs to GraphQL in like 2017. Built their Fire TV app and a couple other apps and stuff like that. That's where I actually got introed to DevRel because I started GraphQL NYC to like learn how other people were doing GraphQL stuff. It was mutually beneficial. I also talked and like about how we were doing it MLS, but I wanted to learn more about like how other folks were doing it, and that led me to creating content, meetups, talks. Fast forward, I went through a bunch of jobs at the IC level in developer relations. So just gave up management, went to IC all the way up to leadership, culminating with me being senior director of DevRel at Slack, and we're there. Oh, okay, that's today.
You
Now,
okay?
I'm good.
Yeah. Do
I'm
you need a
good.
breath? Do you need a sip of water?
No, I'm good. I'm good. But now, why that's all so important and why enablement drives me. If it wasn't for that class, right, or like learning about tech in that environment, if that perfect alignment of stars had not happened, I might have never even known tech existed. I might have gone through my whole life never even touching a web page or building a website. And now I build apps for my family. Like tech has like enabled my entire career, right? And so when we just think about enablement, like I know it might sound silly to some folks, but like if I can help a bunch of developers like build a Slack app faster and that makes life easier for them and for their team. And FYI, that's actually how we measure success for developers is when they've built an app that gets installed and is like actually being meaningfully used by the people around them, right? Because like that's the whole
There you
point,
go.
right? You
Yeah.
build a Slack app because you're trying to solve a problem, and generally that relates to other people. Never really do you build one just for yourself. You might, and you'll still reach that level of usage then because you're using it. But we don't consider it there until someone's using it because now you found value because you just helped somebody, right?
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
feeling.
1,000,000%. Yeah, a million
Yeah,
percent. And you can like this. You can apply that to the whole Salesforce platform. And we
bingo.
shouldn't be building stuff in Salesforce orgs that aren't used by anybody. Like that is the crux of
Absolutely.
everything that we do, and that's something that I speak to a lot of guests about, and where real fulfillment comes from. If you talk about what we
That's it.
do on a general basis, fulfillment comes from
That's it.
doing something useful for the world, right?
Meaningful usage is what I like to call it. It was
Meaningful
meaningful
usage.
to someone, right? Like it's meaningful. Solved a problem. I relied on that. That was amazing. Like that was really meaningful to me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Mm-hmm.
and absolutely, that absolutely does answer the question that I originally asked. Is how the lens that you look at things through for developers for a big user base is help the developers make something useful for a
That's
wider
it.
subset of society.
That's
Wider
it. You
subset
have
of
to look
society.
beyond the developer, right? Like, what are they asking for and what are they trying to solve? Like with that ask, like, it's a lot of times like getting to the real ask behind the ask. If like, it's like a sales or customer success like phrase, because a lot of times like, they are working with the context that they have and offering up what they believe that they need, but oftentimes you'll see that everybody kind of has the same shared need, even if that's manifesting in different ways that they recommend, right? Like, is this an implementation recommendation to a bigger problem, or is this actually the problem? And so, that's always what I'm looking to do, because otherwise I would drown in noise, right? It's like you have to find the signal in the noise.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the job to be done framework?
Oh, I'm so glad you
Yeah.
brought that up because I live by job to be done. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
that's how you get rid of a lot of the noise. Are we making the core job here's how I look at it. Slack as a product, it's their job to handle the core job to be done and to handle that really well. Platform's job is to handle the ability to enhance or customize that core job to be done to fit your specific lens, your specific use case. All right? Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when I look at platform and what I'm trying to do for it, generally it aligns with that. Absolutely. 100%. And am I always able to manifest that? Maybe not to the degree that I want to, but that is my North Star and always what I'm working towards.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a great framework, and I think I did a talk recently at London's Calling, one of the community conferences here in London, and
Yeah.
it was about how myself included, but a team of us here at GearSet was able to do a project that should have taken anybody 6 months, but
Yeah.
we did it in 12 weeks.
That's amazing.
And one of the core tenets of that was communication, collaboration, and the underpinning of all of that was the job to be done, like a ruthless focus on okay, what are we actually trying to do here? What are we trying to achieve? What's the outcome? What's the desired future state? And how do we get there by only
Get
focusing
there.
on the things that will get us there?
Oh my Lord. I
I'm
love
sure
it.
that project is now an ongoing project in advancing what we built in the initial stages. But yeah, that project was chalked up as a success. But
I
those
bet.
those three things: job to be done, communication, collaboration. Like all three of those happen in Slack too. So the synergy is like right there
Oh,
for me,
oh my
and that's
Lord.
why big advocate for it.
I
Big
love
advocate
it.
for it.
Hearing that, and that's what, there it is right there. Why do I do what I do? Hearing stories like that. You took something that might take 6 months with just a little bit more chaos and not, you know what I mean? Like not as much setup, a little bit less focus and clarity. And those things can be really hard to get to, right? And so I love that framework. I love that you applied it. And I love that Slack was a vehicle to allow you to actually execute it. And that's what I want. I want Slack to be the vehicle that allows people to execute really efficient and amazing workflows in collaboration. Yeah,
Yeah,
there it is.
yeah,
Thank you. You kind of boiled it right down for me.
right there. um, Um, I want to come back to I want to come back to the theme of like community, because we have Slack communities, we have communities across the entirety of the tech space, and
Yeah.
you mentioned you built the dot something. I'm gonna mess it up if I try and
Go
say it,
ahead.
but
Yeah.
you built a community in New York of
Yeah.
other
Oh,
developers.
GraphQL. Yeah. GraphQL
GraphQL community.
NYC. Yep.
Yeah. Talk to me about the importance of community in tech, and or community anywhere. Like even while being incarcerated, you have a small community of people that helped you on this journey. But
Yeah.
community in tech generally, and what that does for us.
Yeah, community is the basis of everything, and not in the inspirational sense. I'm going to get right down to it into like metrics, business value, and brass tacks. So let's talk about first the human aspect, because we should always lead with that.
Yes, sir.
Who
Thank
are
you.
you? Right, right. Like, so let's lead with that. Job to be done. How do we know if we're still aligned with the job to be done? We can't just look at numbers, usage. That doesn't tell us if we're aligned with the job. We have to talk to people. How do you have an avenue to talk to people? You have to get them together. You have to form a coalition of people who share the same interest. What is that called? It's a
Community.
community. It's a community, right? And so we sometimes, like, humans are so known for making artificial barriers. And I think a lot of how I was brought up, literally navigating through so many different systems, like, I don't look at barriers the same way people do. And so a lot of times people will say community, and then they'll also say partner, and then they'll also say customer. I would dare you to find me a single community under that definition that does not also include almost all of those partners and customers.
It should include all the partners and customers. It is one. It's
It does.
singular.
It's singular. That's what my whole point, right? It is singular. It already does include them. Whether we want to look at it or not, we can turn our back to it and they're all still in the group, or we can look right at it and they're all still in the same group. It's a community. Your customers are a community as much as the single devs out there building and teaching are your community, as much as if you have a platform, the people who decide that your platform is worth investing enough in to build an app and deploy it to your platform, that is your community. And if you're not talking to them and you're not engaging with them and there's not a value trade between those two, it's you might find some short-term gains, but long term, it's entropy. It's a sure shot to decay. It's a short, and it just gets harder and harder to turn around, right? Like, that's how science works.
Yeah, yeah. And I like using this analogy. We were having a little bit of a discussion at work between a few of us that are parents, and there was somebody posted in our Slack channel, because we have Slack channels for everything. I'm going to keep
Absolutely.
going back to bringing Slack back in. We have Slack channels for parenting and for our pets and all of the fun stuff, as well as all the serious work stuff that we have to do.
Absolutely.
But we were having a conversation about parenting, and one of the parents in that channel was feeling guilty about having the kids at home unexpectedly and plunking an iPad in front of them, and I made it through the end of the day. They spent a lot more time on the iPad, and I feel super guilty about it. And somebody else and a couple of others chimed in on that chat and said, well, if you don't feel guilty about that, if you look at human history and where we evolved from, it's the whole it takes a village. Like, yes, 200 years ago we didn't have iPads, but we also
Thank you.
had far more embedded
A
communities. But
village.
society doesn't operate like that anymore. People naturally isolate themselves for whatever reason, and this
As we
is
put
one
up
thing
a
that
bunch of barriers.
of the barriers to your aforementioned point. But the interesting thing is, and I've been saying this since ChatGPT first came out, the first week ChatGPT came out, I've always said, and will continue to say, because I believe it to be true, is the most value that people are going to find, like, in the future. It might not be tomorrow and it might not be next year, but in 5 years, the thing that people are going to find most value in is communal spaces, communal jobs. I think I said it on
I
a
couldn't
podcast that I
agree
was
more.
on. The podcast that I was on recently, some of the most coveted jobs in the next 5 years might end up being bartenders, because people will want to flock to those places where they have community and connection again.
I
Because
could not agree more.
we already dissociate enough, like, in our personal lives, and now we have these AI helpers and these AI agents. Like,
Absolutely.
people are going to go seeking that connection somewhere. But what a great thing to be able to do in tech is to continue to build the communities that we have, because then we can connect it to work and we can feel fulfilled in our work.
I'm so glad you just said that, because really collaboration and connection are really the same thing. And so, like you said, there are personal channels, even in your work Slack, right? There's human, empathetic connection channels. Because it's like you said, like, we're in this more digital world, this more distributed world, but we still seek connection, right? And that's another reason I love Slack and I love working at Slack. It's like a platform for connection. But I agree on the third space. Like we need third space and community focus, digital and in person. I was actually thinking, like really cool. Someone did like a franchise where you like bought up places, like maybe just open space. Like a lot of like colleges do those little like weekend theaters. You know what I mean? It's just like seats, like basically built right into the ground or whatever.
Yeah.
And That you like maybe have a band, a local band, or show movies. Literally, all you need: set up a concession stand, some good bathrooms, and some seating, and just have something every weekend. And you just like Airbnb it out, like to the artists and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. I think that's one of the things when we've spoken previously is, build it and they'll come mentality. People will come if you build it.
Honestly, I would go to that. I go to those type of things around me all the time. Like, like at, so we've got like Virginia Beach, and then they'll have some events, or at the schools around us and stuff like that. I would love it though if there were, we have so many places you could just pop these things right up, and they're so much closer. It's still like a 20-minute away thing for me. I wish I was way more walkable where I am. Like, we have some local walkability stuff, but it's not like walkable.
Yeah, yeah, and I think what people also have a tendency to do in their careers is kind of overlook the things from our personal lives. So like I was big into skateboarding like in my teens, early
Me too.
20s, and that was one of the communities that I valued most. Like the skateboarding community is like so like like it has an image or whatever. You're never going to shed completely like the image of
Oh,
a
for sure.
certain group of people, but the thing about being in a community like that, we all care about each other. We all care about uplifting each other, learning and teaching each other, whether it be tricks or
Yeah,
just hanging out with each other. And then, you get a little bit older and all the more human conversations or all the more serious conversations start to happen. But it's because you've got this shared interest and this shared thing that
absolutely.
is so powerful. Like take those
Yeah.
things from your childhood and apply them to work.
I couldn't agree more. I also used to skateboard when I was younger, so I get exactly what you mean. Yeah, some of like my best friend's best experiences, snowboarding and skateboarding.
Yeah. But yeah, community is such a foundational aspect to that. And I don't think, I think I think it's one of those interesting things in the Salesforce ecosystem at whole. We talk about community a lot, but do we
Hmm.
actually know what it means? And I think some of us, if we look back to our roots in community, I think we can rebuild the communities to what it wants to be, and what we
I
think it should be.
I agree. I agree. And here's the thing, like I also think like Trailhead and the Salesforce community is one of the best examples that I've seen of a career building funnel. Like in reality, like it's not every system has its issues. First of all, let's like be crystal clear about that. But I would like to continue to work on enabling that. Like, how many people do you know in the Salesforce community who come from some non-traditional background and have literally built their entire career just by going through Trailhead for the most part? Not to
Mm,
oversimplify their hard work, the connections they made, the effort, the learning, but the enablement was there. The whole thing was there for them. And so I am drawn to things like that. And now I get that they're, always caught up in more and we need to do more to uh, uh, ensure that those things live and thrive and are aligned with what the community actually needs, which that actually brings me to my next point. We talked about community from the human side, but community is a competitive advantage.
how so?
Well, you called it out.
Well, I
Job to
know.
be done. Yeah, right. Exactly. But no, I want to relate back to this. You called it out with job to be done. Any business's job is to actually constantly ensure that they're in alignment with the actual job to be done of their users. That's going to change over time. It's going to change over funding. It's going to change over maybe you pivot your entire business to something new. But if you are not constantly reassessing if you are doing that job to be done, then you are introducing opportunity for competition. Literally, at its
Mm,
core. How do you stay ahead of the competition and know if you're aligned with the job to be done? You build a
connection.
very vibrant, that's it, connecting, thriving community. You ensure that there is zero friction between their feedback and your business, and then that feedback actually turns into action. If you do that, you'll beat every business around you from now until infinity because you'll never become in misalignment with the job to be done.
There you go. There you go. It's interesting. What would so there's probably people listening to this and going, my users are my users. So users for us are the Slack users, Slack developers for yourself, and obviously gear set users on my side. So it's traditional B2B style developer users. A lot of
Yeah.
people listening to this podcast will go, my users are internal business users because I
Mhm.
build something for my internal users. What's your advice for people that would look to build internal communities. Is there a different approach to doing that in your mind versus in a B2B context, kind of like we do?
I would say it's slightly different in that in external community, there's more there's more energy that's going to come from the community itself. It takes less of the spark to build an external community. If you build a good product that's aligned with a core job to be done, people start talking about it because it's solving real problems. It's meaningful, right?
Right.
So if it becomes meaningful, I don't know about you, but I love talking about things that are meaningful to me. I will do it all day long. All right, so immediately there's less resistance in a community, especially one that is being built around something solving a problem. Internally, even if they want to adopt it and champion it and all that stuff, unless they're getting that same level of meaningful from it, like, and then even then, like, oftentimes, like, it takes like these people aren't probably in their own nature the type to go out and talk about and share and write about the things that they're doing. Actually, it's why they're doing the job they're doing and not doing that job, right? So it
Right.
takes more energy and investment on your part to not combat, they're not combatants, but to essentially help drive down or remove the resistance from those internal groups. It just takes more initial energy. And it also takes more energy to keep it going because there's no such thing as a perpetual motion machine, right? Same thing. That's why we have community managers. You can't just say we have a community and then you have a community, right? It takes energy, action, right? Like, and so, those things are critical to the success of a community. And so there's often not enough energy for you or your team to push through all the resistance on those internal teams. It's just a matter of numbers. It's very difficult. Now, let's take AI, for example, really quick. Everyone in every business kind of needs to know and understand and learn AI. And what I found from my position in developer relations is that I've never had an easier time than I'm having right now enabling internal teams. And it's because the resistance is lower. They're actually reaching out. They need the information, right? So it's meaningful to them already. I don't have to essentially close the gap to show them that it's meaningful. There's less resistance on the other side. So it requires less energy on my side to actually drive significant impact on their side. Does that make sense? Like, is
That is
that because
making
in my
sense.
head, okay, because in my head, that's how it works. And sometimes I have to double check that it doesn't sound like, a little delusional.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I think largely the issues come, especially in a lot of the context that the listeners to this podcast will face is, and the biggest breakdown often when you talk to Salesforce developers or architects or teams that are working on the Salesforce platform as well as any other platform really is we built something, but if we built it on bad requirements and we weren't connected to users and we didn't understand actually what their core jobs to be done were, so we built something that was what was wrong, or
Okay.
or,
Yeah,
or the adoption was low, or we spent we
absolutely.
spent we spent hours doing this thing and it went to UAT and goes, we're gonna carry on using the workaround that we were using to try and do
Yeah.
this thing, and then where's the buy-in for this thing that you have? Like, how often do people like? And I used to be an account executive. I used to be in sales, so it's a common gripe of salespeople. It's just like updating Salesforce is a pain. Like, it provides no
Hmm.
value to me, and it's because the system hasn't been designed to help them. It's been designed, like, not to bash Salesforce too much, but the
Not at
custom
all.
object, the
That's it.
custom opportunity object isn't right for what they do. So they
There's
store that
drift.
information in a way that's makes sense for them rather than using the system, and then the business is going, we bought Salesforce and we're not getting the visibility into pipeline or opportunities or accounts that we're expecting to have, and it's because the disconnect between all of those
That's it.
people. You need to bring them all
That's
together
it.
and talk about it.
That's it. Literally, it's accumulation of small frictions that lead to significant issues. Literally, you just described it like in a couple sentences. You boiled it all down, and you're 100% correct. And that circles right back to why community is an advantage. Because if you're talking to those people and you're listening to them, there will not be that drift. There was a time when people loved Salesforce because the alignment was so strong. And then there were other periods where that alignment drifted and then it came back in alignment. It's also not black and white and it's not unrecoverable, much to your point. You know, the brain is an amazing thing. Like its literal job is to just be as efficient as it possibly can. And it has this really interesting feature called synaptic pruning, right? And so essentially, there's this premise: what fires together wires together, right? And so the brain will build these stronger pathways between what matters, job to be done, right? And when that job to be done differs enough, it just changes over time, which is fine. Things change. That's literally life, right? Only thing we can rely on. When that happens, you just prune what's there. And I think the issue is we're human, right? And so then when we put on our empathy hat, it's not as easy as the brain on the neuron level saying, I'm cutting off these little, pathways I've built. It's people's lives. It's like years they've invested in things, situations they might be caught in that are out of their control, and they're trying to build the best product for you just based on what's happening around them. You know what I mean? Neither is okay, right? Like, but always empathy on both sides. Users deserve to have something that serves their actual needs. The people in the company deserve to have the opportunity to surface that innovation and bring it to life. Community is how you get there. Is literally how you get there. But you can't just invest in it like a one-way thing, like trying to keep it together. Like, we're not like cowboys or cow folk, no, we're like I don't even know, like the source of energy. Like we should just be like pumping enablement and education, and you know what I mean? Like, right? And like making sure that that energy though goes back into the business. I literally have something called Developer Relations Value Cycle. I'm writing a book for A-Press right now on DevRel. And that is literally my whole premise. If you build the relationships to build the context, both internally and externally, you can distill that, synthesize that down into really impactful insights for teams. I'm not saying that that's super easy. That takes enough work all on its own, but you can do it. I do it. I do it all the time. I know other people who do it, right? They will take those insights and turn that into product change. That is going to push back to the enablement to the community. And those are the three parts: engagement, impact, enablement. And it's a flywheel. And the more you do it and the more you actually drive change and follow up with developers, the more...
We got a guest.
There?
Sorry, we got a guest
no
on
worries.
the podcast today. This is my youngest son, Casper.
Hey, how's it going? Oh, they can't hear me, but hi.
Can't hear you.
Not at all.
He's got a sticker book.
I see it. I love it. I love stickers.
That's why we're going to America.
Yes.
No way.
So when this episode is released, Kurt, I will be in Texas. We are taking my sons to visit my partner's family in Texas. And we're both wearing our burnt orange today because we're big Longhorns fans here. So
I was gonna say, call that out. Yeah.
Wait,
That's amazing.
We have that.
Kurt, he can see the Astro behind you, and he's like, "We have those."
Yeah.
Yes. We're all in this wonderful community.
I have that.
Yes, you have the Slack heart plushie too, don't you? Yeah, we've got them all. Cool. I'll be with you in a minute. Okay. All right.
Bye.
Daddy, and for example, also enough to that sticker there.
Oh dear. Okay. There you go.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it's good. That might make the cut. We'll see.
Yeah. I'm perfectly okay with that. That's great. I wish my kids would come running up in here. They do often, honestly. But like I was saying, TLDR, the flywheel. Honestly, that is it. That's it. Build relationships internally and externally. Understand what's happening. Literally, like not what's on paper or not what you want to be happening. What is happening? Take that, distill that into information. That can be difficult. Use collaborative language, like don't use confrontational language. Look to make small wins and opportunities and relationships and then start to introduce things. Never bring something finished because you know what? If it's finished just by you and you think you know their domain better than them, you don't. Get a core idea down, something just over halfway, 60, 70% max, enough that they can get the premise. They can either accept it or dismiss it right away. If they accept it, now you get to work with them. And that other 40 to 30%, that's going to be what is actually the impact, the actual thing, right? Because now you've got their domain and what is happening. You understand innately. Now it's important you do. You're not just grabbing anything you hear and saying, we got to change the whole company, right? Like, you need to know. And you can
Yeah.
only know by talking to the community. And that
Yeah.
doesn't always mean two-way. Like, having anonymous feedback is still talking to the community. Now, you have to engage as well, right? But like, we should accept every form of communication from the community we can possibly get our hands on, especially in the day of AI, where we could dump it all in and let it help us figure out overall what people are talking about. And again, we don't leave the job to AI. We just use it as a tool, 60, 70%. Help me roughly understand. And then from there, I'll go work with it and figure out what I need. I found that to be invaluable. People love to work with somebody who understands their job enough to bring them solutions to problems that they're facing, but that aren't completed enough, that literally shows they understand they need my input to make this correct and something that works all around. And now you've got shared ownership, shared collaboration, shared success. Like, you know, and look, I've been there on the other side of this. I even put it on LinkedIn. Like, when when DevRel first became a function, like, really started to solidify, there was like a lot of, in the community, noise, like, oh, DevRel's just sales, it's just marketing, you know? And we made a big fuss about not being those things. So much so that it kind of became our identity. So much so to the point that we kind of like built our own programs where we could have just used ones that already existed perfectly fine. We measured things when we could have shared metrics if we were just in better alignment. And I say we, I could just say I used to be more adversarial and position myself in opposition to marketing or sales as opposed to a partner of marketing and sales.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, like, it is a job. Yes. Like, I don't market at developers. Actually, what I do is talk to developers, figure out what they actually need, tell that to marketing, and then they make sure we're talking about shit that actually matters to developers. If that's
Right.
marketing, works for me, because it's actually helping developers find things that might be useful to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, a million percent
Yeah.
is a percent. Well, I think we speak the same language because we do the same. We do the same
That's
job. Like, so.
That's it.
It's and it's really interesting. One of the projects I've been working on at the moment is, and I have for a long time tried to focus primarily on like the human side of team challenges, like DevOps.
Oh, yeah.
And what we do is a great enabler of
Oh, my
team
God.
success if it's used the right way. But a prerequisite to that is actually having an engaged, bought-in team, and the two cornerstones to that are communication and collaboration. And a lot of these teams, and I've had about 15 to 20 hours of conversations with various members of the Salesforce community at various different levels of seniority across businesses. And the common threads that are coming up between the research call that I put out was, if you work in a happy team, like, can I talk to you about what makes you a happy team? And there are very, very common threads to all of those things. And it's like, okay, like, let's take that, let's put that out in the world. And to your point about giving people 65% of what they need, they can take the context of their businesses and apply or don't apply or tweak or change things to improve us all.
Bingo. That's all education and enablement really is. That's why demo apps, when they do the 60 to 70%, they give you the core experience to understand that, but then let you go ahead and take it from there. That's the sweet spot. Kitchen sinks demos, I don't think they're that useful. I think it's too much. It's overwhelming. What's the core thing you're showing me here? Give me one clean job to be done. Show it to me done just enough that I see the whole picture, but not done enough that I can't turn it into what I specifically need. 60 to 70%.
There you go.
I love it.
I think this episode has just been a lesson and an education in the job to be done, and hopefully making people successful through community. And I've got to ask before we wrap up, Kurt, what's your favorite thing about Slack? What's your favorite thing about Slack? Favorite thing to use in Slack? Advice for first-time Slack newbies, or even for us that have used Slack for 6 years, like me, and still are learning things every day.
Canvas. For me, the number one feature outside of your core Slack collaboration stuff, and I'm not going to count custom emojis because that is, without a doubt, the best feature of Slack. But
Obviously,
like,
naturally.
yeah. I really do love it so much. All right. Canvases. You have the ability to attach more durable, compressed, synthesized information next to the noisier, broader communication. You can attach Canvas. So Canvas is basically like you can think of like a collaborative doc, right? That you can edit
Right.
for folks who might not know what Canvas is. Just some listeners literally might not even know. So
It's
but you
possible.
can, yeah, it is absolutely. I talk to people every day who don't know what Canvas is. And so, yeah, it's a collaborative doc right inside of Slack. And the neat thing is they're just docs on their own that you can share, but you can do things like attach them to a channel. And so, like, if you've got a team channel, you can have your canvas, and then that can outline who your team is, what you do, and you focus on related information, maybe a couple decks or dashboards if that's relevant, right? Maybe even your quarterly projects are right there for them to see in a Slack list, another one of my budding favorite features. And that's all because I hate context switching, like more than anything in the world. To make it as smooth as possible, I actually have one monitor. I use full screened everything, and then I actually use a mouse, and I've got two buttons. And so clicking, bam, 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 just fires me through my desktops, right? And that's like Slack and the browser and like Cursor or like whatever else it is that I have open. But my goodness, if I could just stay into one of them, that would be ideal for me. And so what I like to consolidate where it's beneficial, not just for the sake of consolidation. And for me, keeping the cohesive, more durable, synthesized, compressed information next to the more broad, scrollable, searchable information creates a more complete picture for people and is very useful. And then the last reason is I have a whole blog post on this called Keystone Paradox. It's important to know things, especially when you're in a leadership role or middle management or leading something. You need to understand what's happening. You end up accumulating knowledge. However, there becomes an inflection point where if you've accumulated enough of that core knowledge and you're the only one that knows it, you have gone from becoming like a platform enabling those around you with that information to a liability because now, like a keystone in an archway, if you were to be pulled out of that little microsystem, it would collapse because you hold all that critical data in your head. So I probably produce between 25 to 50 canvases per quarter. Just so that way, if I needed to take a sabbatical for 6 months, they would know exactly what we were doing, what we're worked on, like all the projects, everything about everything that I've done. And they're not beautiful, not all of them. Some of them are actually kind of beautiful, like not to toot my own horn. There's some good work in there. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of it is just like brain dump. But that's better than nothing. And now I can just iterate it on time. Like if we look at this like a workflow or administrative process, like they're never what you want them to be when you start, but you got to start somewhere, right? And you get to what is the crystallized and the synthesized, like optimal representation of that workflow or process or channel, right? Like information, whatever it is you're allowing. That's what all administration is like making those connections, allowing that flow of information and work and ensuring that that stuff is smooth for users.
Yeah.
And that's like a critical job. Like, first of all, kudos to all y'all, because that's like so difficult, like so difficult. Being the stewards of like information and work, like that's the whole critical part of the business. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you could be the bottleneck or you can be the freaking exponential like enabler, right? Like it can go either way real quickly.
Yeah.
And all that comes down to kind of a lot of things you're talking about. You have to talk to people, even build those internal communities. You can't build the right workflows for those internal teams if you don't know what they actually need. You'll be
For
getting
sure.
in their way. You end up getting in their way, they end up building workarounds, and you actually end up creating more friction in the system than if you just listened to them in the first place. And we just circled all the way back to what you were talking about with platform, Salesforce platform,
There you
right?
go.
It's all
Yeah.
about that. Sorry. Anyway, I'm done. I'll be quiet.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the future of Slack, and it being a cohesive place for where work gets done. Like I see the vision of Slack, and the noticeable improvements that I've seen since. Well, it's always been noticeably improved, but especially since Parker took the reins of Slack about a year and a half ago or whatever it was. You can really see stuff is getting done. Salesforce channels in Slack now is like, yes, like give that to me. Give the one interface that so people
Serving
can
a job
talk about.
well. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, absolutely serving the job well. Like AEs want to work in one place, give them the one place to work in. Don't make them bounce between Salesforce and Slack all the time.
No one wants to context switch. Yeah.
Exactly. And to your point of flicking through your screens the way you do, like that. Like I do have two screens because I have Slack open on one, and that is the only thing that I have open on that one, and then I do the rest of my work in the other one.
It's what works for you. But at the end of the day, we're all trying to reduce the friction between like the knowledge we need or the task we're trying to do. Like that's it. And context switching is friction. And I'll tie it up with this. You've not seen nothing yet. Just wait till you see what happens with Slack platform over the next 6 months. It's going to be amazing
Dreamforce,
for
big
everyone.
announcements?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably even before then, and just stuff just continuously rolling out, not waiting for anything, just going.
And that's what we like.
Yeah, that's it. Core focus on just getting apps out there, managing them, and being able to do that at scale and efficiently. Huge focus for us over the next 6 months. We are addressing, there are a lot of people who want to build AI into Slack apps, and we get that. But it's just going to be Slack apps, and you'll have the ability to tie into AI features and surfaces and stuff like that if you want to. You can add them, you can not add them. At the end of the day, you're all still now just going to be building Slack apps. It's all going to be the same. It's all going to be smooth. It's all going to be fast. It's all going to be what you actually need. And so I'm super pumped. I'm super pumped.
Yeah.
I literally can't wait until TDX. Really, that's when you're going to see like the full just enablement unlock of it. Like it's going to be spectacular. And now I've talked it up a lot, which I hate. And not just because I'm excited that we're doing these things or releasing products. I don't care about that. I care about that we're about to fundamentally improve the developer experience of Slack platform for everyone across the board.
There you go. So eyes out, everybody. Go and follow Kurt on LinkedIn so you can keep up with all this stuff. And join the Slack community.
Oh yes.
Follow Kurt, and you'll be in good stead. You will know what's going on. But Kurt, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your wisdom and the clarity that I imagine that you've brought to a lot of folks listening to this podcast, because I've learned a ton and reinforced some of my own thinking, and I can't thank you enough for being so gracious with your time and spending the best part of an hour here with the listeners of DevOps Diaries and myself.
I want to flip that right back on you. Thank you so much for having me. I also learned a ton. I love hearing about how people are approaching community and just like in general, what drives us to like seek this work, right? Like it's been amazing. And the way you use jobs to be done, like as like a tool to guide projects, is genius. Like I've literally already just adopted that in my head, and we'll be using that moving forward. It makes perfect sense. But anyway,
there's community. We learn from each other just by having the conversations. You got to have the conversations.
That you have to have the conversations. And we'll wrap with that. And all I will say is, again, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope this has been useful to y'all listening. And yeah, I'd love to chat with anybody. Reach out anytime.
Perfect. Thank you, Kurt. Listeners, if you've enjoyed the episode, like and subscribe on your preferred platform, and we'll catch you on another episode sometime soon.